So a funny story. So today a client called and I was talking to her and she said one of the reasons that she feels so confident sending people our way, she knows exactly what the experience is going to be. And it was actually a compliment on so many levels because I don't know if anybody understands how much our team works at processes and systems and why they're so important.
Oh, that's my jam.
I know. I mean, this is your juice right here.
I know. I live and breathe processes, but this is a perfect segue. I saw this quote today and I took a photo of it so I can have it on my phone forever. And it's, goals are for people who care about winning once. Systems and processes are for people who care about winning repeatedly.
Bam.
I know. I was so excited about that. Systems and processes, we get to win over and over and over again because we have found a proven way to get something done.
Right.
And you don't have to think about it. You
Yeah,
just execute.
it's not like our conversations are replicant.
No.
I mean, you're still having genuine conversations. You're still having genuine dialogue and learning about your client or learning about your teammate or talking to our back office or a vendor. But then once the conversation reaches a conclusion about what needs to be executed, there's a way to execute it the right way.
Correct.
Well, there's many ways to execute
right.
it.
I was going to say that.
But if everybody's doing it the same way,
right.
What does that do? So if everybody's doing things, because you really kind of pound this drum around here, and a couple of our team members are really the galvanizers of the team to remind them that this is why, this is how. When everybody's doing it the same way, what does that do? What does that do for the client? What does that do for the team?
Okay. So number one, for our team, it just creates incredible efficiency because you're not having to think about how to do something. You're not having to go look up how to do something once again. And, if one team member's out, another one can just pick up at that point in the process and know how to complete the rest of it. There's really no questions. It's almost, I want it almost as sterile as a factory on that aspect of it.
Right.
Because it's like everything should have a process. For our clients, it's important because it's a repeatable, consistent experience. They know if they call us and they're asking for a money distribution, we're going to have they're going to experience the same process over and over and over again. And what that does is it creates confidence and security in that process that they know it's going to happen this way over and over and again.
Well, we've all experienced when there's not a process.
Oh, yeah.
From, many of the things that we do. I think, too, and I don't really know, I know that some of our clients understand this and have heard this before, but I don't know if they all understand this. You could have Aaron in Tucson helping Kaylee in Payson in the middle of an activity, and it's seamless, and
Correct.
It's typically flawless. And that's because these systems and processes are in place. So when we're using our contact relationship management software, so our software that keeps all of our notes and our workflows and the things that we do, what we call standard work, Erin can jump right in and help. And she doesn't have to even pick up the phone to talk to Kaylee or vice versa or Reagan or Taylor, Dylan. Somebody can step right in and say, oh, I see where this left off. I'm going to jump in and take care of it. It also, you pointed this out many, many times. We don't lose a beat when somebody's out.
Right.
So if somebody was in the middle of something and they're out tomorrow, somebody else knows exactly where to step in and take over.
Right. The other thing that I'll just kind of throw in there from a business perspective, it helps us when we hire somebody new. We're not having to say, oh gosh, what are we going to train them on? We have all of our processes written out. We have a standard work library. If, say Reagan was training them or Taylor was training them and they were out that day, they could go to that library and they'd have a step-by-step process and get them through the task without having to recreate another version of that same process.
The other thing this reminds me of, and it's, we forget it from time to time, we cut our teeth in this business at a wirehouse, a big firm. We were W-2 employees. We, were one of many. And then we gained our independence. And so when a process didn't work at that level, it could take an act of God to change a process, because so many, first of all, they have to realize there's a problem with the way something's getting handled or done. And it may be a software issue. It could be the way that people understand it or communicating to the team. How long does it take us to change a process if it's not working?
Not very long.
No, I mean, we're a very large firm. I mean, we're in the top list of Forbes, and we're the Women's Choice Award. We manage a lot of money, and I'm very grateful for that. And at the same time, it feels very personal. Our relationships are personal with our clients. Our relationships are personal with each other, and yet things just get done. A tremendous amount of work gets done.
Right. Well, and it's like I tell the team, the first part of a process, like if we have a new process, it's an experiment. It's absolutely an experiment. And as we go along, we're going to continue to make tweaks and little adjustments until that process is efficient.
Yeah.
And it works for everybody, and it's a win-win for everyone. And these processes, as our industry changes, as we have new people, as our company grows, they're always subject to change, but only to change to make things better.
It's reminiscent of, first of all, we know companies that have processes and systems. First of all, when we all got our CEPAs, our Certified Exit Planning Advisor designations, we kind of already knew this because we've used things like Traction. We're all
EOS,
students of Coach, Strategic Coach. We know that companies that have processes and systems are more valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
Because candidly, you could lose an employee to death, illness. They simply quit and move on, and nothing changes. Everything continues to work.
Well, we just had that client who we had explained that to previously, and they had worked about a year on their processes, and they went and sold, and they sold for, what was that additional multiple?
It was a double-digit multiple, almost 4 times more than the average.
And it had raised since that time just because of their processes. Yeah. And that's how important that is to anyone buying your business. So if you go into business and they don't have any processes, then you're kind of walking into chaos.
Well, and the way I see it, it's like, how many times have we and or people we know, repainted and remodeled their house right before they sell it to get the value up? And they didn't get to enjoy having the remodel. They didn't get to enjoy the house. They got it all done just in time to get more value out of it.
Right.
Well, here's a thought. Repaint it and get it remodeled early so that you're enjoying the whole benefit of less complication, getting the things out of your head onto paper so other people can execute. Get your multiples up. Through the CEPA designation, what we've learned, we're not really preparing companies to sell. What you really want to do is make sure your company is ready to sell all the time.
Right, of course.
So if, God forbid, something happens to the owner or a structural person, you don't have a valueless asset.
Well, that reminds me of an instance where a family acquaintance of somebody we knew and respected, we didn't really know them personally, 50 years old, and tragic accident.
Yeah, this is horrible.
And passes away. But he had a family business, and I just saw an update on that, and he had everything so dialed into that business that his wife, and they have 10 children, is still able to stay at home with the children because the company's running itself.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
I know, I get chills.
Yeah.
Thinking about it. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much value to that. I have a question for you. we started this business from scratch with no processes.
Yes.
And now we have our processes super dialed in. We're always tweaking them. So from an advisor perspective, how has that helped you manage clients better?
Oh, I mean, it's night and day. For one, I mean, you can take something as simple as meeting preparation. Our team knows that when I go into a meeting, I want, performance.
Mm-hmm.
I want goals and objectives. I want to run their financial plan and see if they're on track to plan. And these are things we check on in between too. But going into a meeting, I want all these items ready. There are items that I want requested from the client, and I want those ready. And I want to be able to review them prior to my appointment. And then when I go in, I have all the things necessary that when that client leaves, and I don't even know if they're aware that this goes on, but there's very rarely anything that needs to happen after they leave because we have prepared so well that we have all of our answers and action items by the time the meeting is over and we go back to work and get it done. I mean, that would be one example. First of all, I used to prepare for that. As I got busier, as I gained more clients, when it was just you and me, we got very busy before we started to hire and put the right fit people in all these different teams. Another thing for me, compliance. We're in a very regulated industry. We have we have been very fortunate to some degree, but not for lack of work, that we have never really had anything. We've never had a viable complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people get upset because the market goes up or down, but we've never missed something or broken something or done something with malfeasance or even forgotten to provide documentation or disclosures because of our processes.
Mm-hmm.
And in a highly regulated business, that takes a lot of weight off. I think that, when I just think about my own experience with processes and systems, like when I go to drop our car off, one of our cars is a Mercedes, so we go to the dealership in North Scottsdale. It's Penske.
Mm-hmm.
Penske Mercedes. And when I drive up, I know exactly how my experience is going to go. There's a woman that meets me in the drive lane. The same woman every time. I don't know how long she's worked there. She greets me. She knows my name. I think she must look up the car, and it goes to their system that tells them this is Kevin. She greets me by name. She puts the little floor mat in. She takes my key. She offers me water. She tells me where to go hang out. After a while, my service advisor comes over and talks to me, tells me what we're going to be doing today, and reconfirms what I'm going to be doing. You come and get me typically. Mm-hmm. They give me a loaner car if I wanted one, but you usually pick me up. Within about 45 minutes, I get a video. And they have videoed the entire undercarriage of the car.
I love when they do that.
They videoed the tires.
How often would you ever see that?
I know,
that's probably the only time you'll ever see it.
It's kind of cool. You're like, oh, that's where I hit that speed bump.
Oh yeah.
They give you the tires and the brake wear, and then they check the oil and they show you the oil the viscosity on their finger, and they do this whole thing and they say, here's what we found, here's what you've asked us to do, and here's what we think we should do. Click here, and if you agree, you click there. After a while, you get a video with the completed work. Click here to pay. By the time I go in, I pick up my car and I leave.
It's awesome.
Those are processes and systems.
Right.
I've got another experience that I've had with taking my car in. Not quite the same.
We've all had those.
Yeah. We've got a couple of cars, a couple that we have because they're fun and old, and we take those to different care providers that aren't quite as dialed in as Mercedes. So
very old school.
It's just a very different experience, but
it is.
It's palpable, the difference.
And the really cool thing about those processes is and it's the same here, if that service advisor had to go home for the day, another one could pop in and look at what's been completed and see what's done. I mean, I love that. Like when you delegate something to someone here, you know the process, you know what's going to be happening in the background so that you can, focus on your client activity rather than administrative activities.
Well, I like the way you've put it before. We should be able to bring in, with the training and the way you've documented everything, you, Heidi, Aaron, the team that puts all this together and puts it on paper and then says this is the process until it's changed. You should be able to take a reasonably intelligent person off the street, have them read that process, and be able to tell you what needs to get done.
Right.
It's that specific.
Exactly.
And again, I think we do a wonderful job with that. Our team is so consistent. And I know that shows through in the awards that we win and the way our clients refer to us and express their confidence. So
yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty proud of everyone involved because our team is passionate about it too. And, sometimes processes can seem monotonous, but, mediocrity is consistent chaos.
And what is tolerated will be
accepted
or repeated.
Repeated, yeah, for sure. So excellence is born out of consistency.
I love it. So
you don't get to work out once and have muscles. You have to consistently work out to maintain it. So.
Well, how many times does it come back to discipline for everything?
Right, for sure.
I mean, you could work out 3 days a week for 1 week, 5 days a week the next week, 1 day a week the next week, and you're going to have a different outcome than if you just did 3 days a week every week.
Right. And if we have processes and systems for most of their repeatable actions, then we can focus all of our fun and energy towards our clients and solving big problems.
I love that.
So
I like big problems too.
Me too.
Well, so I think our takeaways today are, processes and systems for all businesses are important.
Right.
If you happen to be with another firm and you're looking for a solution as an advisor or a team member and you want to work with a team that's got excellent processes and can take some weight off of you, in terms of being able to do what you do well and not having to do the mundane, we're a great fit. Come talk to us. If you're a client watching this, hopefully you learned a little bit more about how we care for you and why those processes are important. Anybody else this might be good for?
Other business owners.
Business owners that are getting ready to sell or want to be ready to sell all the time, right?
Well, yeah, always be ready to sell, and at least 5 to 7 years before the thought even comes into your head, because it takes, if you don't have certain things in place, it's going to take a while to get there. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for caring so much about processes and systems.
Processes.
Take care.
Bye.